Welcome, Badass Manifester. I am so glad you are here. I'm your host and head coach, Ashley Gordon, master mindset and manifestation biz expert, founder of the Quantum Coaching certification, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur obsessed with empowering you to create quantum leaps in your energy, your life, and your business. This is the show to help you make magic your everyday normal, where the ripple effect is real and the guest experts are world class. My mission is to power your conscious and subconscious mind with manifestation teachings, business tools, and coaching techniques to put your potential into action. Consider this your weekly up level. Are you ready for quantum transformation? Let's do this. Welcome back, Badass Manifester. I am so pumped for today's interview with such an amazing soul. Her name is Nichole Eaton, and I've known her in the online space for a long time. We've been acquaintances for years, and she messaged me and was like, hey, do you want to come on my podcast? And I was like, absolutely. And then I just was like, you have to come on my show as well. And we just hit it off. She has such a beautiful way of explaining manifestation and explaining how to really rock your comeback. And her latest book is called Rock Your Comeback, which I'm obsessed with the name of it. It is a book all about it is a down-to-earth guide to reclaiming your power and love, to talk about how to step back into your power through your mindset, intuition, manifestations, and really take ownership of your life, because I think that we all need that all the time, right? We really need help taking ownership of our lives, and we kind of deep dive into what it means to rock your comeback, what it means to really get back into alignment in your life. And the way that she explains manifestation is just so beautiful. A little bit more about Nichole Eaton. She's an intuitive therapist. She's a 2-time author, and her latest book, as I mentioned, is called Rock Your Comeback. And she has brought this dynamic transformation to thousands of clients with her unique style, where she interweaves her experiences as both a mental health counselor and an intuitive. And she has this passion for helping others really break through their blocks and reconnect with their personal power to completely transform their lives. No big deal. And I think in today's episode, there are so many just truth bombs that will help you transform your life. So get ready for it, because here we go. Welcome to the show, Nichole Eaton. Nichole is here. So
Yay.
Excited for this conversation, finally.
I know. I'm so excited to do this, and I just have such a good feeling about it. I just feel so aligned today, and I think it's going to be whatever your audience needs today. I feel good.
So excited. Okay, so on that note, they know a bit about you from your intro, but can you just share a little bit about how you kind of stepped into becoming the author that you are, and like generating these books that you have, and just like, how did you kind of quantum leap into like what you do today?
You know, what's funny is I was teaching like a manifestation class in Charlotte last week, and I was telling everybody is, if somebody would have gone back 10 years ago and been like, this is what you're going to be doing, you're going to be teaching a manifestation class in front of 100 people in Charlotte, North Carolina, I would be like, what? Because 10 years ago, I was in school for my master's degree in mental health counseling. And, when you start to follow those intuitive nudges, they always lead to somewhere else. So I was doing work as a counselor, as a mental health counselor for a long time. And as I was like getting in tune with people and just being totally present in our sessions, I realized that I was getting all of these intuitive knowings about people, right? I was able to understand their blocks in a different way. I was able to read their energy in a different way. And so that for me was like not traditional mental health. I was like, what's going on? What do I need to know about this? So I actually dove in and trained with a psychic medium. Wow. For almost 2 full years, so that I could understand how our intuition's speaking to us, how we use it to go in a new direction, and just how we access our power from its guidance. And I think that I couldn't stay doing mental health anymore, because I learned the power of our thoughts, and I learned that our thoughts are so powerful. So when we're constantly revisiting the past, which is what a lot of traditional mental health asks of you, that were not creating a new future. So fast forward, I started my own business called Clarity with my boss at the time from the mental health agency. We kind of took the jump.
Right. I was gonna bring that up because I feel like that was years ago. And that's when we first connected, I feel like.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
was your business called with her? I forget.
It was called Clarity.
Clarity. That's right.
Yeah. Because we wanted to bring people clarity about where they're at in their life. So it just became this thing where I knew that just thoughts alone wasn't it. It wasn't the whole picture. And when we can include thoughts with energy and intuition, it creates this massive shift and so powerful. So my first book, and this is just going to be me being transparent, is totally on the mind. It's about our why and how our perception works. And it's fun. It's down to earth. It's a really quick read. I was really, really scared to
That book is called Rock Your Soul, right?
Rock Your Soul. Yes.
I remember.
You can get that on my website. You can get that on Amazon. So Rock Your Soul was kind of a safe thing for me to do because I wanted people, I had people in my office who were saying, could you write this all down? Like, this is so good. Could you write this all down? I was like, okay, I'll make a book out of it. But then it got to the point where I started to like really understand, okay, it's not just the mind, it's energy and it's intuition. And so I felt called to write Rock Your Comeback, the Down to Earth Guide to Reclaiming Your Power, which is out August 22nd and pre-sailing right now. So you can click the link and I'll send Ashley the links. But so this is actually kind of a little bit of a scary book for me to release because there are a lot of things in there that I know the entire communities have disagreements about. There are things that are not just about thoughts, but there are things just about thoughts. And there's things that are about intuition. And there are things about trusting the universe. And so when we're talking quantum leap, like for me, this is a wildly different life than what I was living.
Yeah.
But it did step by step get there. And I think like that's the cool thing about quantum leaps is if we look back at where we started, we can see the progression of how each thing had to happen. Like if I didn't train with a psychic medium, I would never trust my intuition to be able to teach people to hear theirs. It's all of these little things that I felt called to do that help me step into this role where I'm following through on things that even feel a little scary to me or that I have some resistance around, that I'm able to give it, because these tools, especially in this upcoming book, these are tools that I needed when I was in a dark place. These are tools that essentially, for the lack of a better phrase, saved my life. So I know they're important, and whether they only work for me and one other person, I want to get that information out there. It feels like an internal obligation.
That's so powerful that you said that, because I think that, I know just from behind the scenes, like writing a book is not easy. It's not just like you write a book and you put it out there and, it's a hit. It's like there's so much work that goes into it. It really is a labor of love. And so it's for that one person, it's for that one person that it's going to change their lives. And I know it's going to change so many other lives, but I'm so excited to like read it and like get it out there, because damn, people need it. And I love that it's edgy for you. Like, I love that it feels a little bit scary. Like it's out of your comfort zone to share it in this way. And I think that that's really where the magic is, obviously.
When I started talking about the universe, when I started talking about intuition openly, I had so much hate mail for a long time. I mean, from people I love, from people who were like, you've lost your mind. Like, what are you doing? I had all of this stuff go on that was really heartbreaking and scary. And am I doing the right thing by living in my truth and doing the things that feel right to me? And I'm sure you've encountered that too, as you talk more about the universe and manifestation for people who weren't ready to hear those things. So it is a push outside my comfort zone a little, even though I talk about it daily, to have it all written down and have it written down with personal stories. It's a little scary, but you know what? I'm not willing to shrink to make other people comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to not put out something that would have helped me in the space I was in 10 years ago, because that to me like is selfish. Every time people are like, I want to do this and I feel called to do this, but what are other people going to think? This is just a reminder that it doesn't matter. it doesn't matter. It's selfish to keep it to yourself,
Totally. And I think that that's a message for so many people listening right now, because I know there's so many people that have that desire to share more or to, speak a truth or put themselves out there. And I think that that's like a major thing that holds so many people back, for that fear of judgment, imposter syndrome, rejection. Like there's all of that that comes along with it. And so, I mean, leadership, I always say, is it's not easy, right? It's not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to, be in, in front of so many people all the time, but it's really what is going to help our world evolve. So like, how you have to weigh out your message, like how important is your message versus like how concerned are you about yourself? You know what I mean? Like getting over yourself, because it's not about you, essentially.
And the thing is that even though some people did fall away, some
Yeah.
people didn't like what I had to say, there were just as many people who were more aligned with me, with my lifestyle, with my messages, with the things that I truly deeply believe, that came in. So even if it feels like a lonely phase when you take that jump, it's so important to know that you're not going to be lonely for long. You're going to attract the right people when you find that new level and vibration. And it does feel scary at first, but that doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah. Love that so much. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions. One, this is just coming to me now, but you were like, I feel so aligned today. And I'm just curious, like, what did you do or embody to feel aligned today?
I am really like rigid on my morning practice. And so I love a good workout in the morning. Like I need to like dispel the energy from my body. Even
Yes.
if I don't do anything serious or hard, like I don't need a hard workout. I just need to move my body. So that's a priority for me. And I make it a priority every morning, even if I have to wake up extra early for it. And the other thing too, is I'm a big believer, and I teach this in Rock Your Comeback, in manifestation writing. I write for how I want to feel. I write for how I want things to go. I write for being really articulate today, even though I'm feeling nervous, I won't, like I write for all of the things that I am ready to receive and putting myself in a position for it to go well. And I was curious if when you were logging on, you saw me lighting my Palo Santo.
Oh, but
later was it going? But I was like, I'm
right there with you, girl.
Yes. I like to get the energy clear, my mindset correct, and just be present and ready. And I mean, it takes some practice as somebody who is very energetically sensitive to really own your energy. But I know now, after some time, like what my energy feels like when it's unbothered with everything else. And it's pretty aligned as long as I'm doing the things that I know help me out.
It's so cool everything you just said, because I recorded a podcast earlier this morning about how, like, my recipe for having it all. And part of that recipe was prioritization. And you were like, I prioritize moving my body. And you were like, I got to move the energy out. And I literally have right here in my note, it says, prioritize, move stagnant energy by moving your body. And I was talking about how moving your body, it really moves a lot of like that dissatisfied energy, any energy, but like that dissatisfaction of anything that's like in your way. It moves it out, and it helps us become that clearer channel to receive whatever it is that we want, because we're in the quantum field at all times. So it's like, we're just sitting here in the quantum. And if we're not receiving what we want and we're not feeling aligned and connected, then we have to prioritize creating intentional connection time to source, move stagnant energy out of your body. And then I went on with other things, but like you literally said exactly what I had written down. And so it was just like, yeah.
We're just amplifying the message today. And it's so funny because a lot of people, like, they work out because they want to lose weight or they want to be fit. Like, to me, like, perk, awesome perk. Yeah. But for me, I don't feel like myself when I feel heavy. I don't feel like myself when I don't feel in tune. And like, if I just wake up feeling off, because sometimes you wake up feeling off, that's just my quickest way to get out of it, is to give myself that boost of endorphins, but also just move my energy. Energy is responsible for so much. And after being like in mental health for so long, I realized that there is a difference between just trying to change your thoughts and then changing your thoughts with your energy. And that is the power move of the century.
Oh, power move of the century right there. It's so fucking true. It's so true. It's funny because I was at a business mastermind event. It's called CEO Mama. So it's like the business and the mama and life and all of it. It's everything. And we were sitting around the table and everyone's on their hot seats and everyone's sharing like what they want in their business or like what they need help with in their business. And I was the last one to go on my hot seat, 15 minutes of coaching. And like, as everyone was sharing, it was just so clear to me. I'm like, this is not a business problem. This is an energy problem. Like it just became so clear. So by the time it was my turn, I'm just basically like, I'm good. Like I said my thing that I wanted to say, but like, you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. And, I always like think of it as a red flag. If you're thinking about the same thing, kind of ruminating, if you're spinning, that's your sign to move the energy. Because for me, how I see energy that's stuck is like a helmet. So it's like, you could want to think new thoughts. You could be going through the motions of thinking new thoughts, but unless you can take off that energetic helmet that's keeping all the thoughts stuck and spinning in one spot, you just can't see it. Actually, I have a really fun, manifestation story about energy. If you have a second.
We have a second, okay. More than a second.
I have a client who's been very, very stuck in their business for the last few months, has had a lot of great opportunities come, but it's felt very overwhelming. And the overwhelm started to shut down the flow of money coming in. So it was like things weren't working, money was slowing down, all of this stuff was going on. And we had been working together and I'm like, we got to talk about this energy. And they're like, no, I got to take action. And it was this whole big resistant thing. And then finally they came to me the other day and were like, I'm ready. Like, let's work on this energy. We did some energy clearing. We did some manifesting together. And then they were able to go get actual physical energy work done. By the next day, they received over $100,000 in checks that were from something they applied to like 3 years ago that just showed up after all that energy was cleared. So sometimes we can want something and be in our own way by stressing the hell out about it and worrying about it and trying to figure it out when, I was saying on my Instagram this morning, like sometimes your manifestation's trying to find you.
Yeah.
And you're just not open to receiving it because your energy is blocking you from receiving it.
That's the best story ever.
Isn't that so fun?
It's
I was
so
like, that was like instant.
But that's the thing is like, you're saying it wants to find you because it's already there. It's literally right here, right now. It's right here. We're not letting it in.
Yep.
Because our energy is I love the helmet analogy. That's so good. So like
just
a couple weeks ago, or like, no, I'm sorry. Last week, there was so many good things happening. When those weeks happen and you're just like, holy shit. Like I got free Beyonce tickets. I got a free comped amazing dinner at this hot new restaurant where I live and an awesome show. I live in near Atlantic City area. So like the best show I've ever seen. We got a tax check that came in that was like out of nowhere. Like we overpaid our taxes and I thought that money was gone. Significant amount of money. All these things were happening. So I had to look back and be like, when all the things are going good and you're like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just going to stay right here. I'm not going to move.
Ride the flow.
Like, I don't know what's happening, but I looked back and I was like, no, I moved my body every single day for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. It matters.
It matters. Yeah. It matters. So good. I love this. You were right. This is a great.
It is so good.
So what would you say to someone who is maybe in a really stuck, disempowered state right now? And they're like, okay, rock my comeback. Like, what does that even mean? How do I even know what my comeback is? Like, how do they even identify what to do next?
I think a lot of people are in that spot. And the cool thing about knowing that is that I've been in that spot too, and now I'm not. So the possibilities are endless for this as an answer, right? But when I go into what does rocking my comeback really mean, it's about coming back to yourself. It's about tuning back in so that you can hear your soul guide you to the next right step. That's the power, is when we start to listen to ourselves and we stop trying to be in control of everything around us. And we take 10 minutes to say, okay, what do I want? What do I believe about what I want? what would it take for me to see something new in my life? When we start asking better questions, we start to get our power back, because when we start to ask questions that aren't, why me? Why does this keep happening to me? This is so unfair. I can't believe this is going on. And we start to say, what does my energy look like? What does my mindset around it look like? And what do I have to see based on just basic neuroscience, right? What does my energy look like? How am I finding joy in my own day? But even if we go back to the very basics, like you're super stuck, you're in what I call in the book a black hole moment. The shit just hit the fan and you lost your job, or a marriage ended, or whatever the case might be. Something real bad happened. It's so important that you even just start with going back to the basics, getting enough sleep, getting sunlight, getting outside, putting your feet on the earth. Treat yourself like a little house plant and get back to the basics. I think of manifestation in this way, right? I think that your reality today has already been created. It's a cake that's already baked. That's past thoughts, past feelings, past actions led to today, which means right now we're creating the future, which is so, so exciting. And the thing about like baking a cake is that if you put a little more salt in, it's going to make the flavor taste different. And so I know when we talk about manifestation, that can feel really overwhelming, but I just want you to think of, if you do one thing differently today that's in your favor, you're creating a new cake tomorrow. You're baking something brand new, whether that's a little bit more joy or a better relationship or just your healing in general. Like all of those things add up and they keep adding up and they keep adding up. So even if it feels small, it still really, really matters.
That is so good. I absolutely love that metaphor. It's like, yeah, that just makes so much sense. So much sense. Back to basics, the little house plant. I'm like, I'm processing everything that you just said, like, cause it's so true. It's so simple.
It's so hard when people are in like a really stuck spot, right?
Yeah.
And especially like if people are stuck and nothing's really going wrong, they just know it's off. That can feel even harder because we're not trying to recover from something big. We're just not feeling in ourselves. And I like to think of depression and anxiety not as a bad personality trait, but as a red flag. That's your body throwing up the bat signal when you've just gone too far past yourself, when you've stopped listening to yourself. And it's just a little brush in the right direction so that you can get back in tune. And like, what if we made it that easy? What if it didn't have to be this big healing long process, but just one day at a time, where we pay a little bit more attention to our inner space, where we take 5 minutes, and instead of going to pick your kid up at the daycare, we take 5 minutes in the car and just put your hand over your heart and like tune back in. Like, what do I need today? What would feel better today? Where am I at today? Like, I like to take all of this stuff and just make it really easy. And I know that doesn't sound easy when you're in the heat of it, but small stair stepping can get us really, really far.
It's so true. And that's what we do when we say like, chunk it down, It doesn't have to be this huge, massive life change. I love that it can just be something so simple. I mean, even in my journey of postpartum, like I found it hard to like just do the basics, like just take care of myself, or like take a walk outside, or, drink extra water today because you're breastfeeding, or do whatever, like the simple things. And now I'm kind of got into a better flow with it, and it builds, right? So when we start to do one thing, then we feel, okay, I'm inspired to do another thing and another thing. And it just starts to take over and become who you are, essentially.
Well, and the other thing too is like, when we're trying to move into a better space, we don't have to know the next action step. And I think that's hard for a lot of people to not know the next action step. But when we start to shift our mind, and even if we start to be open in our heads, right? I'm open and willing to see how things could be better. I'm open and willing to see how, to be willing to believe I can feel better. When we start to create openness in our mind, we also start to create a new directive for our brain to look for. Because I always compare our brain to a Google search bar. It is just loyal to what we type in. And it's like, okay, you're confused. Cool. Let me look for things for you to be confused about. But it also just invites the universe in to help. So when we start to shift our thoughts even just a little bit, it helps our, just neural pathways start to look for things in your world, but also in your memory bank. And it also helps the energy. Your energy feels better when we're open and willing to loosen it up a little bit by what we're thinking. And I believe that the universe says, okay, you don't have to make any massive choices, even if you're willing to admit, okay, this relationship isn't it. We can know that, acknowledge our truth and feel it within ourselves without having to make decisions or make big moves yet. Because when we start to say, I'm willing to admit my truth, at least to me, I really believe the universe comes in and helps, just starts to shift things.
It really, really does. And I heard you say something earlier about like scripting out, like writing what you want to manifest. And what's interesting is I always have done that. And I led a workshop once and I was like, how often do you write down what you want? Like not your to-do list, but like what you really want. And nobody raised their hand.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So would love to like hear your process on that for someone listening. Cause I think that could be a really good entry point as well. Like maybe your life doesn't look like the exact way you would like it to. So what does that life look like? And how do you write that down? What are the directions?
Yeah. So I love writing a manifestation letter every morning to the universe, to God, to your higher self, to your future self, whoever you can get in alignment with and that feels right and true to you. I write it as though it's already the case or is currently in the process actually happening right now. So that might be I am statements. So, I was writing beforehand. So grateful to feel so articulate. I feel this podcast felt really aligned and I feel so good that we were able to connect and produce something that was massively impactful for all the people listening. Right. So that's just one small area, but I always say I wrote myself out of a depression because I had really bad, I think it was postpartum, but I was 20 years old and nobody was talking about postpartum to me. Nobody was acknowledging what that was or what that was like for me. So I started to decide that I was willing to feel a little bit better every day, that I was willing to see the best in things or be willing to believe I could start seeing good things in my life. So when we're writing, there's a handful of things happening, right? We're plugging into the universe, to our higher self, to the future self, to God, whatever you believe in, right? So we're starting off the day just plugging in. The second thing we're doing is we're starting to script our life. We're starting to decide how things, get to go. And how I know about what to write that day is things that are on my heart. Am I worried about the meeting I have with my daughter's teacher tomorrow? How do I want that to go? What would be ideal? Am I having issues with my husband or whatever's going on there? How do I want to feel in these relationships? And when I think about what I'm manifesting, I like to manifest how I'm going to feel in the scenario. And I let the universe sometimes surprise me at what the details look like. But I know that when my book comes out, I want to feel really well received. I want to feel really impactful. I want to feel really good about what it looks like, what it feels like, the printing process. I want that all to feel easy and smooth. And so for me, like writing about my feelings about things has been 10 times more impactful than deciding that I want a red car with, tinted windows and a convertible top. Like, sure, you can do those things, right? Absolutely. You and I know material stuff you can manifest all day. But for me, even just being open to receiving opportunities, the other thing we're doing here is we're rewriting your neural pathways. We're reprogramming your subconscious. The more you visit that you're confident and capable and able to do the things that are coming at you, the more you write about feeling intuitive and feeling aligned with yourself, the more you write about, your compassion and how you carry yourself in your body. And like, I always like to write for being magnetic. I always want people to feel just like, yay, good in my energy and that kind of thing. So you can write about any of it, but I would really strongly suggest you write how you feel. Because again, you are actively telling your brain that this is what we're believing now. This is what we're looking for. This is the Google search bar that I need you to look for. So it's opening up the neural pathway and just letting you see more Because I'm sure you talk about this all the time, but our brain will look for what you tell it, and it has ways to filter out the information. And when we start to tell it different stories, it starts filtering in different ways and allows us to see something differently. And on top of that, you're also writing things that feel good when you say them. When we say I'm not good enough or shit like that, like it doesn't feel good on the inside. So when we're starting to write, we're creating a positive momentum in your energy field as well. And I usually write like, I'm so grateful that this has happened, and write it as though it's already the case, because our brain has no sense of what's real or perceived or what's happening at this moment in time. So this practice kind of wholly encompasses all of the areas of mindset, connecting with source energy, and getting in a better energy to receive. So I like it just because I like to check all the boxes. I like to make it easy.
Yeah, it is. It's so powerful. Like, it's definitely how I don't do it all the time. And now you're talking about, I'm like, I should do this more. I want to
Jump back in.
I want to jump back in. Cause I mean, I go back and look at my journals and I'm like, holy shift, because I definitely manifested my husband through scripting. I definitely manifested our home. I like, there's so many things, my business, like so many. Sometimes I feel like, okay, like I did it, and now I get it. So I don't have to do it anymore. But no, we still get to do those things, because maybe it would all just happen so much, I don't know, faster if I did it more.
Well, and it's all fine tuned too, right? It's
Totally.
just recognizing those little things that we could do differently, and areas that still come up. I was mentioning to you before that, I've had some resistance come up with me, like just producing this book, but that was a really good reminder to me that I have to work on allowing support in my life in all areas, especially professionally, that as I grow, I'm allowing myself to be supported. And that's something that I didn't even know was there, that I'm encountering as I grow. So you might not have anything specific because you've already manifested it all that you've really wanted, but as you grow into different roles or parenting roles or things that you're new to, it's so helpful to look at that and say, okay, what could be easier here? What are some beliefs that I'm still coming up against, or new beliefs that I didn't even know were there, that we can change or rescript?
Yeah. Even just trusting myself in motherhood, like I actually was writing about that recently, because I was feeling like I was coming up against a lot of doubt, and I had to rescript that. I had to decide, no, I am an amazing mom. And I have like affirmations on my phone. So I do it. I definitely still do it, but I love that, fine tuning it. So good. Yeah. And there's so much power. I remember in the beginning of my business, like transitioning from more like life manifestation coaching into business coaching, and feeling like people were coming to me, but also feeling like I didn't know enough, and feeling like why are you coming to me for business coaching?
Yeah.
Someone said to me, if they're coming to you, it's meant for you. And I'm like, okay. And then I was meditating, and in this meditation, it was affirming things, like, even if basically saying, like, tell yourself, like, actually, I am an amazing business coach. I am an amazing strategist. I'm an amazing marketer. I have incredible ideas. I have amazing coaching to offer. And I just decided that I was, and then I became that. So
yes,
it works.
Well, and so when I was first starting my business, I had a similar thing, and I can't even remember. It was a podcast I was listening to, so I can't directly quote this from a specific source, but the guy being interviewed says, I realized I didn't have to be Jimi Hendrix to teach the guitar. I just needed to know 3 chords more than the person who knew none. Ooh. And for me, that was like permission to not have to have it all figured out before I dove into the work. It was like, okay, I can release the high expectations I have on what I'm offering and just be me and show up. And if I don't know something, I'm willing and able to say, let me check back on that. I'm not sure. But it just took that pressure off to be perfect in this new role or this new place. But yeah, that quote just pops back into my head all the time of just,
that's so good. I feel like you nailed that quote. You totally nailed that. So good.
I'm going to tell you where it's from, but
what is like the greatest manifestation of your life?
I have 2. Okay. So I moved from New York to South Carolina 5 years ago now. And when I first moved, I had a really hard time. I have really great friends in New York. I lived in New York for 30 years. Like, I have fantastic friends, family, everything was there. My old business was there. It was really hard to leave. And so, I come from a really small town. Our airport is really small. There's not a lot of planes going in and out of it. So the prices of the flights were like $800+ just to go back there. Okay. And it usually had like 2 stops in between because it takes so long to get there. It's a small area. So one thing that I started to manifest was, I want a quick and easy way to get back to New York. I want a quick and easy way. I want this price point or below. Like, I just kind of started setting those intentions. In the next 2 months, my stepmother got a new job, and her new job was working for a major company in New York it's an international actually company. They're a little bit of everywhere, but she was working underneath this guy, and he was like, "Oh, like you're welcome to use the company jet." And so we found out that she could use the company jet, but anybody who is related directly to her, and because my maiden name is her last name and it's on my birth certificate, I can fly back and forth to New York on a private jet for free anytime I want. They come to Charlotte, which is 20 minutes away from my house, every single day, every single weekday. So I've been able to go to New York on a Monday and come back Tuesday morning, just so I can still connect with some of my clients there, so I can connect with my family or show up for my friends' birthdays. And it's been probably the most fun manifestation I've ever had.
That is amazing, Nichole. Oh my
Isn't
God.
that wild?
That's so
Yeah.
dope. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Is it like a really cool private jet, or is it kind of like basic?
No, it's super cool. And they don't allow you to take pictures on it. It has all these warnings, and I'm like, I'm not getting kicked off this thing.
Yeah,
so I would love to flash it around, but
I know, right?
I'm cautious.
Oh my gosh. That's super cool. Okay.
Yeah. It's it's probably I think it's 18 seats, and it's got like a little couch area in the back with a little table in the middle. It's so cute.
That is so cool. Okay.
Yep.
That's dope. Amazing. Okay. What
Yes.
else? What's your other story? I could listen to you all day.
So my other manifestation story is, me and my husband are big NFL fans, big football fans. When we lived in New York, I really was looking into getting season tickets to the place or to the team that we really wanted to go with. Right. And it was 5 hours away. So it wasn't like it was
What's your team? I have to know who your team is.
I'm not going to say the team,
fine.
but I'm going to imply some things that will allow you to guess. Okay. So it was 5 hours away, but I was like, oh, it'd be so fun if we got season tickets. That would be so cool. And I put myself on a season ticket list. They called me. We were broke at the time. We had no money. And so every time they'd call, I'd be like, it's just out of my price range, or like too far up in the stadium seats. I can't do that. So what happened was, they got under fire for their name. And so when they got under fire for their name, one of our friends who was living on an Indian reservation reached out and was like, we really want to start this underground movement to save the name. Like, this is named after our chief. Like, we really want to keep it. Would you guys be interested in working with us to do that? So we started up a Facebook page to save the name, and worked with this Indian reservation, and somebody from the NFL from that particular team reached out to us and said, could we invite you to come to the games to, maybe wear some t-shirts to promote the movement? So they covered all of our tickets for almost 3 years.
What?
Yeah. 3 years. We were in like dream seats for half of them. We had all free drinks and all free things. We tailgated with the Miss USA at the time. We met all the players. I met some of the Super Bowl Hall of Famers there. We've been able to take our kids to go stand on the sidelines on the field to watch them warm up. We've been in the locker rooms.
That's insane.
For years. We went to the playoff games. And it was just the coolest, best experience for probably 3.5 years. And it was right before we moved that ended up getting changed around. But yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. That is amazing.
Isn't that wild? But if I like, that's the thing I always try to remind people is if I would have tried to figure out how I was going to get a private jet to New York or how I was going to get this situation with the NFL team, that it would have never, I would have never, but I followed the inspired action, or I was in the frequency for other people to follow the inspired action. And it just happened.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible at any given moment of the experience. I think that's important to say too, because I think that sometimes, especially when we're in a hard space or things are kind of gaining that negative momentum, that it feels like everything's spinning out of control. But the minute you stop, take a deep breath and take your power back, it changes the momentum. It changes the cake you're baking. Like it changes everything. And it's, again, a little breath, taking a breath throughout the day. Imagine that changing your life, but it can.
So listening to this today is hopefully changing the cake that you're baking tomorrow. And we're like so pumped for you to bake yourself the most delicious, scrumptious cake ever.
Juiciest.
Yes.
I was going to say moist, but I know a lot of people don't like that word.
I mean, I personally like a moist cake. I'm not going to lie. Love me some chocolate lava. So Nichole, what makes you a badass manifester? You.
I trust myself. I trust myself to take care of myself. I trust myself to follow through. I trust myself to get my energy right, even when I recognize that it's not. And I think that until you come back to your power and trust yourself, that it's harder. Not that you're not that you can't be, not that you're already not manifesting, but just until you come back and redecide for yourself and trust yourself, not only to think new thoughts, to do the things that feel really good and prioritize you and prioritize your life and your life experiences, that I think that matters the most when it comes to being a badass manifester is trust.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Oh my gosh. Absolutely love you. I love this conversation so much. Where can everyone find you, connect with you? Obviously by your book.
Yes. So NicholeEaton.com. It's NicholeEaton, because my parents had to be different and throw an H in there. And then you can connect with me. So you can actually buy the book on NicholeEaton.com. And if it's past August 22nd, you should be able to buy the book everywhere. So that's going to be the release date. I also have an online membership right now called the Comeback Club. So I took all of my courses I've ever made and I threw them into one place. We do a live Q&A once a month. I release a new course every single month, and it's a lot of fun in there. So I will also just throw that out there. It's only $22 a month. So hopefully if that resonates, you can connect with me. And Instagram and TikTok is NicholeEaton.xo. But I'm so grateful for you and grateful for this conversation. It was so much fun.
So much fun. Love it so much. Go stalk out Nichole, get in her energy, join her club, read her book, all the things. So honored to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Woo! We did some work today. Thank you so much for listening. You know I love my BAM fam. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you know would love it too, because we live for the ripple effect over here. And how can you best support the show? Make sure you're subscribed, hit the 5 stars, and leave a review on iTunes, and let me know how the podcast has impacted you. I love being part of your real-time journey, so screenshot the episode and tag me and my guests on Instagram at ManifestWithAsh. Now say it with me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my own energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. We don't just talk about it over here, we be about it. Now go get 'em.